So, Gemma, welcome to the very first podcast with a guest. It's very nice to
Hey
have you on.
there, you
So,
okay?
what we'll do is we'll just drop into quick introduction, what it is you do, coaching, that sort of thing, and yeah, we'll take it from there.
Okay, yes. So my name's Gemma Masters, gemfit.coach. You'll find me on Instagram. I coach ladies from about the age of 30 upwards who are just wanting to feel a lot better about themselves, feel stronger, more confident and empowered, and to reach their body goals that way in a sustainable way rather than doing all the fad diets and eating restrictively and all that. So yeah, it's more of a kind of holistic kind of sustainable approach to achieving your body goals.
Amazing. So, in terms of the holistic side, what sort of category does that fall into? What is the holistic?
Well, because I'm coming up to 40, and a lot of the ladies that I kind of coach are a little bit over 40, and we then start going through perimenopausal stages. So hormonally, our bodies are changing, and a lot of the time we don't understand why they're changing because our hormones are just quite erratic, and everybody's symptoms are different. So holistically, it's kind of just trying to have your whole life balance. So keeping your stress levels well, making sure that you're eliminating as many of the toxins from your life as possible. So it's just kind of making sure that the cleaning products that you're using aren't too abrasive and things, because it can all affect everybody's kind of hormonal balance, especially for ladies as they get to perimenopausal ages and menopausal. So yeah, it's the stress part of it as well. A lot of us don't understand that being stressed can impact so many elements of our lives, and even like being younger as well. But as we're getting older, it's just a lot more of a balancing act there.
Definitely. I mean, I've got a few clients that are sort of premenopausal, I guess you can say. So we're
Yeah,
kind of navigating their journeys very kind of carefully. I
yeah,
think a lot of
definitely.
people tend to underestimate actually how much stress can impact fat loss or even retention of muscle and that sort of thing, because it can
Definitely.
quite easily cause atrophy and that sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, cortisol levels, they rise up all the time. I mean, naturally they want to in the morning because it gets us up in the morning. So that's a positive cortisol level. But if they're rising throughout the day through factors that we can't always control, work stresses, your boss is a dick and things like that. Like if our cortisol levels are high throughout the day, it just affects, like you say, fat loss, how we metabolize foods, how we gain muscle. Because obviously when you when you've got high cortisol levels, gaining muscle is so much harder as
Yeah.
well. And yeah, bodies just want to hold on to everything, don't they? It's
I
not
guess
a
it
good
kind of
place to be.
definitely, I mean, I guess it kind of affects your recovery side as well, because obviously when
Yeah,
you're going through sort of like a stressful scenario, as you say, at work,
yeah,
whether if it's friends, family, that sort of thing, how much that actually plays into it and how much that actually kind of draws on your energy stores. And rather
yeah,
than kind of using that food for recovery, it almost oversteps that. And it's
yeah,
almost as if the recovery is kind of pushed to one side and then the stress sets in and then you struggle to recover. I guess that's
yeah.
where almost like muscle DOMs and that sort of thing can come in, which obviously isn't necessarily a bad thing,
No,
but it really does kind of play into the recovery factor as well, plays into sleep,
yeah,
appetite, which is obviously a big thing on a diet, because obviously, if you're going through a diet phase, obviously being a bikini competitor, you get to a certain stage in a competition prep. And if your stress levels are really high, even though you're on minimal food, it still
mm,
makes it really tricky because it's like, well, I need to get this food in, but I can't because I'm stressed.
yeah.
My
Yeah,
appetite.
and some people when they get stressed they eat as well, whereas other ladies won't eat as much when they're stressed. It's everybody is slightly different with that. So it's making sure that when you're training these people that you're coaching them to them and how they respond to things as well. And also not to put too much pressure on ladies as well when they're going through these changes, because the putting the pressure on that also gives you that stress and then you feel even worse from it. So it's
Yeah.
also just being able to say, like, we can track how your mood goes throughout a month. Like we know when you're coming to the stages when you're going to be more tired, more stressed, more anxiety, and you can track that and can prepare for it and hopefully alleviate the symptoms to a certain extent because you're prepared for them. So it's not a case of always being able to eliminate them, but it's just being able to understand them. Once we've got that understanding and we know when it comes during their cycle, we can kind of just plan for it and hopefully get them over there and know that we just need to ride the storm and things will get better.
Definitely. I mean, I guess it's one thing that us as human beings male and female kind of underestimate the power of the human body and how it actually works.
Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing thing, isn't it?
It's honestly incredible. I mean, since I started coaching, it's amazing the things that you realize that your body does and doesn't do, and the ways that it tries to fight you if you're going through a diet, or if you're going through a muscle gaining phase or a maintenance, or even if you're, say, going to one extreme, if you're almost coming from a point of being anorexic and trying to gain weight, and how your body reacts to that. Yeah. And also sort of like the mental battles as well, because that's one thing that, you know, I've kind of struggled with myself. I don't mind kind of opening up about it, is more the mental battles of gaining weight and the mental battles of losing weight. Because obviously when you're gaining weight, you look in the mirror and think, oh my God, I look huge, like I look out of shape and all this sort of thing. And then the flip side happens when you're going through a diet. You're thinking, oh my God, I look really small, I look really skinny, I don't feel right. Yeah. And it's mad how that kind of plays into that sort of stressful factor as well, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a little bit like when you've got straight hair, you want curly hair, and when you've got curly hair, you want straight hair. Like, we're never almost quite happy where we are. And it's just trying to find that balance within yourself. Like, when you're happy there, sometimes it's not how you look. Sometimes we could be the smallest we've ever been, like the skinniest we've ever been, and still not be happy. But you could be the biggest you've ever been and be really happy because you're content with that. So it's not always how we aesthetically look, especially for my ladies. Like, aesthetically, it's not always how they look, it's how they feel as well. Definitely. I mean, but bikini competitions and competing definitely is all about how you look. So I think in the bodybuilding world there, it can be a lot. There's a lot of mind there, isn't there, where we can kind of damage ourselves mentally by doing these big diet downs, then building up again, going through gain phases. It's a big mental battle, especially I know for women, but I think it is for men as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't think it's as much of a struggle for us men, because obviously how complex the female body is and how much it can kind of take its toll in terms of sort of losing your cycle and that sort of thing. Trying to gain that, I guess you can almost call it, almost getting your equilibrium back, is quite difficult.
Yeah.
So, I mean, across the board, whether if it's bikini, figure, or even physique female competitors, I have a massive admiration because of, you know, the mental battles you go through in terms of even the changes of the chemical balance in the human body as well, and how that plays into it. Whereas obviously with a human, or with a male, should I say, that is obviously relatively the same, but our hormones aren't as complex as a female. So yes, we lose sex drive and that sort of thing, but then, you know, it's always a couple of weeks post-show where that comes back. Whereas more for a female, sometimes it can take 4 to 5 weeks. Sometimes it could take even a couple of months to regain that.
Yeah, and I think if you've really dieted down hard and you've probably had a coach who's just run you into the ground, it could be months as well, and you could seriously damage yourself, especially as a woman in that sense. I mean, I've always been quite lucky. The coaches that I've had in the past have made sure that your health is at the forefront of their mind as much as you can, especially when you're getting down to them kind of levels of body fat. But it is always like making sure you've got a diet in place for afterwards, for reversing, to make sure you're building them calories up slowly over time rather than going and binging, because there's nothing worse than that. And just taking out the cardio and making sure that you're bringing your input up for your food and bringing the output down just gradually over time. But I think the reverse is more important than the actual diet into a prep show. 100%.
I mean, that's one thing that I kind of got wrong off the back of my first show in 2019. I wouldn't really kind of categorize myself as a bodybuilder because I've only done the one show, so I guess I'd need more experience to kind of get through that. But having done my first show, my first coach, he basically said to me post show, he said, I'm going to give you a week's break to kind of let your hair down, do what you want.
Yeah.
But within reason. And I kind of took that as that golden ticket of I can now go and eat what I want.
Yeah.
And I honestly totally regretted that because my digestion was absolutely off. I wasn't in the best headspace, I guess you could say as well, because I'd gone from eating so little food to then stepping on stage. You then get the come down effect after you've spent so long prepping to be on that stage.
Yeah.
And as soon as you step off, it's like, well, what do I do now? I didn't know how to battle that, and nor did my coach actually help me through that. And I hope to God he's not going to listen to this because he's probably going to give me some hate over it. But I didn't know what to do. I should have kind of stayed on track to an extent, because having gone through the prep, I should have had some kind of knowledge as to like what to do or what direction to take it.
Yeah.
But then obviously I was then going to Pizza Hut, I was going to Five Guys, I was going to McDonald's, you name it, I was eating it. And I probably gained maybe 10 to 12 kilos post show. And that was within sort of like 1 to 2 weeks.
What, like in a couple of weeks?
Yes.
Yeah, that's, isn't it? After one of my first shows, actually, that was way back in 2012. After that one, because it was kind of before Instagram era, it was all like going to shows and things. It wasn't as mainstream as it is now. So getting the accessibility to knowing you had to do a reverse after doing a show, it wasn't there. So after my first show, I rebounded really quite hard, put quite a lot of weight on, felt probably the worst I've ever felt in my life, like low confidence, anxiety. And it took me a lot of years really to actually be right again, to feel like myself again. And even when you went into diets after that, nothing ever moved, because my metabolism was just shot. I also didn't have that desire to actually go and train like I did before the show, and it did take its toll definitely on my mental health. But yeah, you do learn from them things as well. Then the next time I do this, I'm going to do it the right way. I'm going to do it the healthy way. I'm not going to be a dick.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it's about. I mean, over the last couple of years, since I've kind of got the understanding of the training side, the diet side, I mean, I've never really sort of prepped any clients for shows or anything like that. So my knowledge on it is kind of limited. It's only from what I've kind of faced myself, but it's definitely a few steps that I'm going to take after the show that I'll be competing in June. Is that, I mean, admittedly, post-show, I'm going to go and have the typical burger and fries afterwards.
Yeah, I think 1 or 2 meals is fine. It's when you're doing it every day, isn't it, that it gets to be the problem.
Exactly. And I've already kind of got it set in my mind that it won't be like the moment I step off stage, that's what I'm going for. I would just want a simple meal just to kind of get something inside me, because obviously you're so depleted, you're so dehydrated and that sort of thing, that you kind of need that, just a simple meal just to kind of bring everything back again, just to bring you back to life.
Yeah. I think I just wanted an orange tango or an orange Fanta. Yeah, I just wanted something to drink after my last show.
Yeah, it's always one thing that I see many people actually get wrong, and it's a mistake that I don't want to happen again, because it's not nice feeling bloated for days on end as a result of that.
Yeah.
So obviously now we're kind of in that mindset where we can be like, the breaks need to go on and think about it realistically for a second. Like, do I actually want this food? Do I need it? Or can it wait a couple of days until I'm back on planet Earth?
Yeah, it's like people make the mistake of buying loads of food in, don't they, for in the house for when they get home, like, I'm going to have this, I'm going to have that, and they buy it, and then because it's there, they feel like you have to eat it. And I did that after the 2012 shows, and I was just eating for the actual sake of it. It was there. I wasn't even hungry, but it felt like I was binging, and I did feel very out of control. Whereas last time, 2019, when I last competed, I literally didn't do any of that. I didn't buy anything in. I just had a little bit of pick and mix. We went out for a meal, and I got straight onto my reverse diet with my coach. We made sure we had that in place. It was when I went in for coaching with her, I was like, I want a reverse when we do it. So it was very, very important for me to do that reverse and have it in place that time, because I've learned from my mistakes.
That's the one big thing. I don't think there's enough coaches out there that are like, right, as soon as you're off stage, we need to reverse properly, because obviously you kind of underestimate that they're kind of key times to really kind of accrue any muscle tissue post-show is once you're so depleted and that food starts to go in, and your body almost like kickstarts and responds to it quite well. Yeah. And they're also really crucial times. Yeah, exactly. It's kind of building that sequence back up again and making the most out of that time, because that's where you'll probably stay the leanest for a couple of weeks post-show.
Yeah.
And actually just the amount of like carbohydrates and stuff you're getting into your system that just kind of quite simply fills you out and actually makes you a lot leaner. It's really strange. Because you have a meal post-show and you look better than when you stepped on stage the day before.
I'm literally going to say the same thing. You literally do. You like on the day you like putting a little bit of carbs in, like drip feeding them in. Then you go out for a burger and chips that night. Wake up the next morning, you're like, I should have gone out like this. Like
exactly
every time.
I mean, I've kind of forewarned Emma. I said to her that after this show on the 10th, I said there's another one in Coventry the day after on the Sunday, a PCA show. And I said to her, I said, you do realise that if I do the show on the Saturday, we then go to Five Guys that night. If I look better that morning, we are going to that show in Coventry.
Well, you'll be tanned up. I mean, it'd be a waste of time. It'd be like a perfect opportunity, wouldn't it? Like you're wasting potential.
Yeah, I might just completely wing it and just step into it. Just be like, yeah, I've just showed up on a burger and chips, and yeah, I'm here to show up. Let's see what happens.
Get it done. Yeah, I agree. I think you should try it because everybody says they look better the day after. So
Yeah.
go and try it. I do know people who've done back-to-back shows like that.
Really?
Like one on the Saturday, one on the Sunday. It's doable. You'll be tired, but it's definitely doable. Plus, you're never on like late. Like bikini is always like the last kind of shows. You'll be on like midday, 2 o'clock at the latest. So yeah, that's your day's not as long.
I mean, the only thing that puts the spanner in the works is actually my nan's 90th birthday on that Saturday. So I managed to kind of double book myself. It's like, do I take the risk and jump into a quick Airbnb on the way home?
She could come, yeah. She could come to the shows.
This is very true. I mean, it was actually quite funny how it worked because I'd obviously like pre-booked the show. It was a couple of weeks later, I had a phone call from my mum saying, you do realise it's Nan's 90th birthday on that Saturday. And I was like, I'm already halfway through prep. I can't really cancel now. Like, I'm sorry, Nan, but this is what's happening. I mean, she totally understands, luckily. She's like, literally, just go and do what you want. So it's literally only my birthday. Like, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, she could have her birthday the week before, couldn't she? Yeah. She could be like really special, like the Queen was, and have 2 birthdays.
Yeah, why not? Why not? So no, I might actually entertain the idea of doing that. I'll see if if it lands me in the doghouse first, and then we'll take it from there. But it might be worth it.
You can always get out of the doghouse.
Exactly.
You've not murdered anybody, have you?
Well, I'm not going to say that live on a podcast. So talking more on sort of the competitive side for you, obviously it's a completely different ball game for females. What federations have you competed with before? Has it been the same one? Has it been different federations or? So
when I started in 2012, it was UK BFF, and pretty much in them days, like the medieval days of them 2012, there was really only UK BFF and NABA. Really, they was your big hitters at the time, which it's completely different ball game now. I came back in 2019, did PCA, and the standard was just like it gone from like here, like way up there. And I loved the show. It was great, but I don't know if it was my style. It didn't really suit me. I went in to do the Masters because it was my 35th birthday and they had a show on that day. So I was like, I need to do this. So I prepped for that show. I think I probably came 5th out of 8, but I went into the Masters. They all got amazing muscle density, and I was just a little bit lost probably there. I think I probably really suited the UK BFF one, which was a long time ago. But I'm going to compete again in September this year, and I'm going to go for 2 bros, which is looking to be more my kind of style. It's my kind of style of posing as well. So I do like that kind of style. So yeah, I'm going to give that one a go. So I can probably do about 5 classes with 2 bros. I can do beginners, novice, over 35s, and I can do my height class as well.
Oh wow, that'd be fantastic.
So yeah, I'll be tired because I'll not be off stage. but I'm going to do that, and I think that'll really suit me. I'm really looking forward to it, actually.
Definitely, I definitely think. I mean, I think the IFBB is the place to be right now. There seems to be a lot of publicity about it. Obviously, there's certain ways you can go. If you go for pro card, if you can then go on to qualify, obviously for the Olympia and that sort of thing, which obviously is what everyone aspires to. I think it's kind of slightly harder in that respect for males. You say about the different classes and where you can kind of take it. That for a male, you've either got men's physique, you've got classic, or you've got open.
Yeah.
And there's not really any other avenues you can kind of take it, because the way that I kind of assess my own physique at the moment, especially with my coach, is that I've spent the last 2 years, and the one thing that's kind of blown up is my legs. And you kind of look at my complete physique and you're like, I could step into a classic category, but then my top half doesn't match my legs, which is quite unheard of for a men's physique competitor. Normally they don't have legs at all. But it's one of those overbearing features. I got my posing shorts through the day before yesterday, and I put them on and they're literally tight on my legs, which normally you see a men's physique guy and they're hanging off them. And I'm like, well, I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
But then it's just like, I then wouldn't be able to hit the weight cap, because at the moment, I think from this morning, I was just under 74 kilos. But then I'd be looking at nearly an 80 kilo weight cap. So it's kind of added that bit of confusion in there. So we're just going to go ahead and do the men's physique.
Yeah. I think sometimes you just have to put yourself up there in the mix and just see if you fit or not, because you can read the criteria for these classes all the time and you go, yeah, I fit that. But sometimes until you're actually on the stage with these people, you don't always know if you are or not.
No.
I'm pretty sure I am bikini, but I knew as soon as I got on PCA stage that I wasn't a PCA bikini. Whereas I think I probably am more the tubo. So it's just finding different federations as well, because every one of them, the judges look for slightly different things. Even like with the bikinis, sometimes it's the colors or how it, like the size of the bottoms and things as well. It can be so different from one to the other. So definitely just try other federations as well and just put yourself out there, because you're doing FitX, aren't you? And PCA.
Yeah, so we're doing FitX in June, and then later on in the year I'll be doing PCA.
Cool. Yeah.
So it's two different federations, and I kind of want to see which one I fit into, because I know obviously FitX is still quite new. I think it's only about
they are quite new. I think they've only been out. Is it this their third year, maybe?
I think so, something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, having sort of looked at like the lineup, obviously I don't want to kind of seem big-headed by this, is I think how my physique is at the moment, I'd fit more in the FitX side of things.
Yeah.
Because when I was sort of looking through, I've actually got to sign up for it and actually dial myself in for it right now. But I was looking through the what they kind of look for and the classes and that sort of thing. And luckily there's a short class there, because I'm only 5'6". So I wouldn't want to kind of be up against guys that are like 6 foot tall, because they'd make me look really quite small. So as soon as I saw that, I was like, thank God for that. That's a bit of a relief. So I know that kind of does whittle the numbers down slightly, because if you go for like the IFBB, then you've got bigger classes.
Yeah, don't really watch the men's. I've not watched the men's classes for a long time, although I do enjoy watching them. So I'm not quite sure if they do height classes always. I know for women they've started. Back in 2012 they didn't. It was just all the bikini girls came out at the same time. But it was very, very new then. I think bikini was only 1 or 2 years in the making at that point. So that was a long time ago. But over the time, a lot more people want to do this. It's a lot more popular, isn't it? It's all over Instagram now. So the height classes have come in. But I'm not sure about the men's. Like I say, I've not actually been to a show to watch a whole show for ages.
Yeah.
But I think they should do height classes, because
I think it would kind of make sense. I know it kind of does extend the days out, because they are obviously quite long, as we just say. But it would be good if they had height classes there, because right now I don't think I would be at a point to sort of step into an IFBB show, because I know the way that it's kind of gone is it's almost become a bit of a size game. And it's one thing that I kind of picked up off a podcast I was listening to a couple of days ago, where it was basically a couple of guys that were doing a round table about the men's physique category, like the rights, the wrongs, how it can be improved and how they can make it more competitive, changing like the judging criteria and that sort of thing. And there were guys on there that were not much taller than me, probably 5'6", 5'7", 5'8", that sort of height. And they're like, yeah, my stage weight was 92 kilos.
Crikey,
I'm like,
wow. They're as wide, aren't they, as they are tall?
Yeah.
What are they walking around at in off season?
This is it. It really does surprise me. I mean, thinking of off season, it kind of makes me feel a little bit unwell, because of how much or how far I've taken it. Like during the peak of my off season, I was 94 kilos. And and
they're getting on the stage at that weight.
Yeah.
That's mental, isn't it?
It's honestly insane. So I've got to kind of take a long, hard think about it, because I've kind of got in my mind what I'd like to do and what I'd like to achieve this year.
Yeah.
And then kind of where I'd like to take it from then is basically, I don't think I'd want to be kind of pigeonholed to men's physique anymore. I think I'd rather step into classic, because it means I can then display everything. Yeah, I just love the sort of the finesse and that behind it. And I think that kind of what comes from watching too much of Chris Bumstead on YouTube.
Yeah, you can put your own stamp on it a little bit more, because you can do your own routine. And imagine men's physique's like women's bikini, isn't it? You do a bit of an eye walk, and you can do a bit of flair in there, but you've got certain things you have to do. Whereas, when you've got a routine, you can put your own little personality out there, have a bit of fun with it. That'd be
Definitely.
nice.
I mean, for my category right now, for PCA, I think there's only 5 compulsory poses.
Yeah.
And then that's it. Obviously, you've got the I walk, which obviously is generally made up of those compulsories.
Yeah.
And then if I was then to do an IFBB show, there's literally only 2 compulsory poses.
There is. Yeah, even for women's bikini, just front and back.
So I guess in a way that makes it easier. So you've only got those 2 poses to hit and to kind of, I guess you can really get those down to a T, can't you, really?
Yeah, I think if you think about like your transitions from your front pose to your back pose, like there's probably 3 movements in there as well where you can put your little own stamp on that. So how you turn to the back can be part of your routine. So you think of that as a transition, think of it as a pose, and you've probably got a lot more like flair that you can put in there as well.
Definitely. So there's one thing I kind of wanted to hit on, and it's something that actually I believe quite strongly in. And as we mentioned with how a prep works and how much it can shoot your metabolism, is how much I feel that coaches underestimate the power of the metabolism and how that affects the body. Do you have any sort of like particular beliefs in that you incorporate into your own coaching and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I suppose so. What I try to do when my clients come on board, I try to give them as many calories as I can, really, because if you go in too low, you've got nowhere to go when they're not losing weight, they're not making progression in wherever they're wanting to get to. So I'm always a big believer in giving them as many calories as we can, because we want to, the more they can eat and retain that the body composition they've got, the better the metabolism is, really. I've got a few girls who are doing a photo shoot in 2 weeks' time, and we're already talking about what we're going to do afterwards. I've already told them, we're building your calories up. I want you to be eating as much as you can, because next time we diet down, I don't want you on these low calories. Got another lady who has reached her goal, so we're slowly now building her calories up, and keeping it like trying to maintain the weight that she's at, because she's happy with where she is. But now our goal is to get strong and to eat more, and we get in and retain the body composition that she's in. So yeah, I'm a big believer in trying to build up metabolisms, because if they're through the floor, there's not really much you can do, and it's a slow process to build it back up again. And for women, definitely it's sometimes quite hard to give women higher calories, because it's been instilled in them from being younger that they have to eat 1,200 calories, no more. Whereas I'm on probably 2.5K now at the moment, just going into prep in a few weeks' time. So I'm hoping that I don't need to go that low in prep. I think I probably would sleep all day if I was on 1,200 calories. I would have no energy. But yeah, I'm a big believer in metabolisms and, eating as much as we can, really. Sometimes you have to go low calorie, but the normal daily person shouldn't be eating, I think, lower than 1,500 for a woman.
No, not at all. The reason why I kind of hit on it is because it's something that I feel quite strongly about, and it's only kind of come about in the last, I guess, since November last year, really, that my fiance had been coached by, or she's kind of hopped between a few coaches for a number of reasons. I'm not going to name names or anything like that. That's not, what I'm out here to do. And she has been trying to lose weight for a couple of years now, and all the coaches that she's been with have done is put her literally on next to no calories.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at the moment, she's around 91 kilos.
Yeah.
And she's actually my training partner. So it actually works quite nicely that we go to the gym together. So I know how she trains, I know how she eats and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And the coaches that she'd been with before had put her on between 1,200 and 1,300 calories a day.
That's really low, isn't it? I mean, I would probably, not knowing anything else, probably put her on 1,900.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd go straight in at that.
It's one thing that kind of baffled me, because I kind of looked at it, and at the time, whilst you're kind of immersed in that, you're like, okay, that's what the coach says, so that's what we'll do. You kind of get a bit consumed by it. But then it was the addition of, I want you to start on half an hour cardio a day. That was like every day, Monday to Sunday. And it's like, right, okay. So doing the cardio, nothing's happening. And then they're like, right, okay, we're going to pull the food back a little bit more, and then we're going to push cardio up. So it was then 45 minutes cardio and then 1,200 calories. And it's like, well, yeah, okay. The rule book should state that you should be losing weight because you're in a calorie deficit and your expenditure's high.
Yeah.
But then all that was happening was her weight completely stagnated, even though she was literally grafting. So then she left that coach and went to somebody else and then faced exactly the same thing. But the difference there was then she was called out for lying, basically saying she wasn't tracking her food properly, that she wasn't training how she says she does. She wasn't getting her steps in, and almost kind of sabotaging her own diet is what she was kind of called out for.
Yeah.
So then I said to her, I was like, look, it's incredibly hard to coach someone that you live in the house with, i.e. myself coaching my fiance. And we kind of put our heads together and thought, right, we need to really strip this back to basics. I was like, we need to kind of creep your food up. So we increased her food up over about a 12-week period.
Yeah.
To really find that equilibrium point again. Yeah. Where she's not gaining weight, she's not losing weight. It's kind of almost fluctuating ever so slightly every week. Either it goes up slightly, comes down slightly. So we know we're at a maintenance level. And I don't think people kind of understand how mentally challenging that can be when all you want to do is be able to drop body fat, but you can't because your body's fighting you.
And then someone's telling you to eat more as well. Yeah.
Yeah, like, exactly.
How can that work?
It was kind of hard for her to accept. And I think once we got to the end of December, her food was about 2,500 calories.
Amazing.
And then her weight had completely stabilized. And it was a constant battle of, we need to kind of keep pushing the food up until we're at a point where your weight doesn't move that much at all.
Yeah.
And then I said, we need to stick at this. And the reason why we did it is basically because she'd been trying to diet for nearly 2 years. And obviously that's a long period of time to be in a calorie deficit for.
Yeah, 100%. Like they say max really of 16 to 20 weeks, and then you should put yourself into a maintenance phase.
Exactly.
Definitely. And also the brain gets tired. You just don't want to be push all that time. I mean, they're not getting on stage, are they? They just want to feel nice and go on holiday and feel nice in clothes and that.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't need to be a punishment.
So I think it's one thing that I see misconstrued on social media so much. Obviously, social media is a powerful tool for us as coaches.
Yeah.
And it's also a way where people think, oh, so-and-so is eating this amount of food, so that's what's right. You program it into MyFitnessPal. MyFitnessPal is telling you to eat 1,300 calories a day, even though that's hundreds of calories lower than what you should be.
That's super low, yeah. It is really.
Insane.
I mean, it depends on your height as well. I mean, if you're only 5'1", that's probably a lot of calories probably for you. But for somebody who is like 5'7", like myself, that's not enough. It does just depend on your height really, and I suppose how active you are as well. If you're somebody who sits down all the time and you're only 5'1", you will need a lot less calories than somebody who's 5'1", and has got a very active job.
Exactly. So it's kind of good that we've kind of faced that period. I mean, it has been very mentally challenging for her. And I've often said to her, when she was trying to strip the body fat, how mentally demanding that was, and nothing was happening. Even though because the coaches had also said, are you getting stronger in the gym? Are you feeling better? And those sorts of things. And she's like, none of that's an issue. My strength's not an issue. My sleep's not a problem. My energy levels are absolutely fine. And they're like, that's a win to take away from it. But she was like, yes, but I'm not dropping any body fat. I'm still the same size. I still feel uncomfortable in myself, uncomfortable in my clothes. It was honestly heartbreaking for me to see. Now, where that's kind of spun full circle right now is we've just started pulling down her food, and I'm only doing it by about 50 calories at most, because we want to find that point where the weight starts to drop and we don't have to touch anything at all. Because that's often what I do with my clients when they first join, is that I set them on a point where their food is not too high in that they're in a surplus, but where they're at a point where we can start manipulating it as we go down, rather than going straight in at a level and thinking, now we can't do anything with that.
Yeah, definitely.
And her body fat levels have actually started to come down now. She's lost nearly 3 kilos in the last couple of weeks.
So that's awesome. That building that, I mean, it takes a long time, but building them calories up really slowly, making sure that she was holding her weight as well. Yeah. Her body's under less stress now probably as well, and it's not wanting to hold on to everything. So now it's like, oh, that's what you want from me. Okay, I'll play ball now.
Because I think it's often overestimated as well how many people think that dropping body fat's actually easy, and selecting that out as a single mass as such, when you've got so many other things that come into play as well. Yeah. And how much your body actually tries to fight you, which is obviously where the hunger comes in, the tiredness comes in, the fatigue. That's your body's way of trying to put the brakes on and say, I'm not having this.
Yeah, it is.
And then you kind of know that it's only for a certain period of time, that it's not going to be forever, like being on a competition prep, for instance. I'm quite tired, I'm hungry, I'm getting quite irritable, not sleeping particularly great, my energy levels are low, I'm getting snappy. But that's not me, that's not my nature to do that. And luckily the people around me know that.
Yeah.
And I know that in 6 weeks' time, that's going to come to an end. I can then eat all kinds of good food, and then I'll be back to planet Earth again.
Yeah.
And it's
also
amazing.
Worth probably getting your bloods done as well. If you are in that situation where nothing's working and you're doing everything that science says, you know, you're eating in a deficit, like what's going on? It's, you know, getting your thyroid checked through your bloods is probably the number one thing you should be doing if you're not losing weight. And you should be.
There's quite a few companies out there that I would use personally. I've used eval blood analysis personally myself. Emma's also used them. She's also gone to the blood lab as well, which are very, very good.
Yeah, I've been to the blood lab.
I think the blood lab are probably the better ones to use because they give you access to an app where you can see all your blood levels. And
yes, you can. Yeah, you see it on screen and you can see if it's red or yellow or green and things like that. So yeah, and I've got a call with a guy in a couple of weeks just to go over the results of it. So
fantastic.
That'd be quite interesting because you can read them and you go, oh, that's high, that's low, but you don't know how they're working independently or combined with another kind of another thyroid or another part of your blood's results. So quite interesting to see how they're all kind of responding to each other, I think. But overall, they seemed all right. My cholesterol's high, but that's genetic. We've got it in the family. So you can't really do anything really about that one. So it is what it is. But at least I know. I told my dad, he was like, oh, yeah, your gran had it, your great grandma had it. I'm like, oh, right, who's got to tell me?
That answers that one.
But then I do think, well, if I wasn't living the lifestyle I live, how much worse they could be. So, yeah, just do what you can, can't you? And it is what it is. But yeah, I'm aware of it all now, so we'll just go with that and just see what the guy says in a couple of weeks and see what if I can do anything just to help that a little bit. But if not, I think you have to take, is it statins? You take statins, but I don't really want to take them for the rest of my life, to be honest.
No, not at all. I mean, I guess as you say, it kind of plays into like the lifestyle as well. Obviously, having the competitive side as well is it can kind of skew things off a little bit. Even though obviously you'll be training, you'll be doing the cardio, all the things that you should be doing to essentially help those side of things.
Yeah, I was like, I'm doing it all. What else can I do? To be fair, then probably going to a contest prep might actually help because I'll be doing more of it.
Yeah, definitely. You never know. It might help through cardio alone and getting your cardiac levels back up again.
Yeah, I think it probably will. But yeah.
I mean, I think it's definitely one thing that's come into definitely the fitness industry over sort of the recent sort of few months, couple of years, is about getting blood work done and that sort of thing. And, you know, obviously the first thing that everybody thinks is if you're having your bloods done, then you're obviously not a natural bodybuilder, which it doesn't matter if you're natural or if you're assisted. You should have them done anyway because of how much dieting can take its toll, going through gaining phase can take its toll, even through a maintenance. You kind of want to know where you're at so your body's functioning at a level where it's at its most optimum. Yeah,
it's just good to know that your body's in a good place going into prep and then having one just post prep as well, just to see, you know, probably how badly what crap you've done to your body and then how you can rectify it from it. But also if you have it before prep, you know that you're in a good space as well. Like my thyroids came back fine, so should be in a good place for prep. There's obviously other markers that we'll look at, but I was more worried about the thyroid one. With coming up to being 40 as well, you know, things are changing. So I don't know what my bloods would have been like if I'd had them done 10 years ago. That would have been interesting actually to have compared them to another one. So I have them done again in 6 months' time and I'll see where they land.
Definitely. I mean, it's something that I've got to have done after I've competed in June is to see where all my markers are. I've not had them done for quite a while. And I guess it sounds bad. The only reason why I don't want to have them done is because I don't want to see anything bad come back on them is what it is for me. But then at least if anything bad... Sorry?
We can't bury our heads in the sand either. You know, you've got to kind of just face it head on so you can at least deal with it, adapt, improvise, move on.
Definitely. I mean, I've seen a lot of publicity on Instagram over the last couple of weeks of supplement needs and what they're doing in terms of making moves in the industry in terms of the supplementation they offer. I mean, obviously they've been around for a number of years, but they've upped their game massively. So there is a lot of support there in terms of looking after heart health, liver function, kidney function, and that sort of thing. And it's good to see that, whether if you're in the realms of assisted or natural bodybuilders, and how much those supplements, even if you're not a bodybuilder at all and you're just training for just training's sake, how much they can actually help. I know nobody likes walking around rattling, taking God knows how many supplements, but
and your wee's bright like yellow.
Yeah, exactly.
Like nuclear.
But there is a lot of support out there. There's forums out there. Obviously, Instagram and Facebook aren't really the best places to look, because there's nothing but people that don't want to help. They just want to cause issues. And
a lot of people don't believe in it, and they go, oh, you're just going to piss it out of you anyway. Like, but some supplements are really useful, and especially when you are training and putting your body through things, like you do need these supplements. Sometimes our bodies can't make that supplement, sometimes we just need extra of it. So I mean, obviously do your research and don't be taking them just because like so and so down the gym's taking them, but if they're going to do something for you, 100%.
Definitely. I mean, that's the one benefit of going to someone like the Blood Lab, is you can say to them, look, do I need to take this? Is it worth me taking them? And they'll give you just a straight up answer. Either yes, it's worth it because it'll help this, or no, it's not worth it because you're actually all right.
So, don't waste your money. It's fine.
Yeah, definitely. Because obviously you need to make sure your body's running at the best possible place. I mean, you say about thyroid and that sort of thing. They're the kind of markers which are going to help you through a fat loss phase. Obviously, your thyroid function drops as you start to drop body fat. And you get to the realms that the likes of yourself and I do. But then that's where you need to make sure everything's right to then keep pushing through that, and knowing that you're eating enough food and your output's balanced properly as well, which I think is what a lot of people get wrong, is the energy balance side of things as well. Because it's about, eating enough food so that you can function on a daily basis. But then it's also eating enough food to make sure that you can either drop body fat or gain muscle. Rather than just, putting yourself in a straight calorie deficit of 500 calories and not actually knowing what you're doing with those.
I think people do just jump straight into cutting everything rather than tapering it down slowly. Like, taper down the calories slowly, inputs up slowly as well, and hopefully you drop the body fat that way. Whereas if you take everything out and put all the cardio in, where do you go from that when it stops working? There's nowhere to go, is there?
No, not at all. So but anyway, Gemma, I won't take up too much of your evening. It's been absolutely fantastic having you on and having a chat.
I loved it.
It'll be good to jump on at some point when you're in the depths of prep and your bones are showing through and you're feeling like shit. Quite good.
And I can't speak in full sentences. That'd be a great podcast, that one.
Definitely. I'm surprised my brain span lasted this long. So I'm honestly quite shocked.
You're doing well. 6 weeks.
Give it a couple of weeks and I'll just be sat here asleep in my chair with just crickets. So
there's something we're talking to themselves. At least I was one of the first ones on, because in 5 weeks time it's just going to be like you say, no speak.
I won't even be worth talking to.
They'll just have to conduct the podcast themselves.
Definitely. But no, it'd be great to have you back on. Thank you very much for joining us.
Lovely. Well, thank you for inviting me. It's been fun.
No problem at all. You enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll jump on again soon.
Cool. Brilliant. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.